The first time Lily Oliver saw him walk through the revolving doors of the Monarch Hotel, she had no idea her life would completely change. His charcoal gray suit was impeccably tailored, and though there was nothing flashy about him, something in his quiet confidence made her straighten her posture behind the polished marble concierge desk. "Good afternoon, welcome to the Monarch," she greeted with her practiced smile. "How may I assist you today?" He set down a worn leather briefcase that somehow looked more expensive than anything she'd ever owned. "Reservation for Ethan Oberlin." Lily quickly typed the name into the system. "Of course, Mr. Oberlin. You're staying with us for 3 nights in one of our executive suites. Is this your first visit to the Monarch?" "My first time at this location," he replied, his voice deep and measured. "I've stayed at your Singapore and London properties." She nodded, impressed despite herself. The Monarch was a small, ultra-luxury chain with only 7 properties worldwide. Even working there for 2 years, Lily had never visited the international locations. "Well, we're delighted to have you with us. Would you like a brief tour of our amenities?" He checked his watch, an understated but clearly high-end timepiece. "Perhaps later. I have a call in 15 minutes. "Of course." She signaled to the bellhop, then handed over a key card. "You're in suite 1804. Martin will escort you up. Please call the concierge desk directly if you need anything at all." He thanked her with a nod, his blue eyes briefly meeting hers with unexpected warmth before he followed Martin to the elevators, just another business traveler, Lily thought, returning to her emails. The Monarch catered exclusively to the wealthy old money families, celebrities who valued discretion, and high-level executives. Mr. Oberlin seemed like the latter, likely a VP at some corporation, or perhaps a successful lawyer. Nothing about him suggested that he controlled a shipping empire worth billions, or that he would return every month for the next year, gradually becoming the one guest she looked forward to seeing most. By his 3rd visit 6 weeks later, Lily had his preferences memorized. He always requested the same suite, preferred the Financial Times over the Wall Street Journal, and never used the hotel's expensive car service, instead opting for ride shares or walking when possible. He tipped well but not ostentatiously, and unlike many of their wealthy clientele, he always remembered to say thank you. "Good morning, Mr. Oberlin," she greeted him that Tuesday in April. "Your suite is ready, and I've arranged for the extra pillows you requested last time." His expression brightened with surprise. "You remembered that? It's my job to remember the details," she replied, though in truth, she found herself remembering his details more precisely than those of other regular guests. "Well, I appreciate it." He accepted the key card, then hesitated. "I was wondering if you might recommend somewhere for dinner tonight. Somewhere a local would go, not necessarily what's in the guidebooks." Lily considered for a moment. "Are you in the mood for anything specific? Honest food, good atmosphere." "I've had enough business dinners in sterile restaurants to last a lifetime," she smiled. "In that case, try Salvatier's on 9th Street. It looks like nothing from the outside, but they make the best pasta in the city. Tell them you're staying at the Monarch and they'll take care of you." That evening, Lily was surprised when the concierge phone rang and Ethan's room number appeared on the display. "This is Lily at the concierge desk. How may I help you, Mr. Oberlin?" "Lily, I'm at Salvatier's," he said, the sound of lively conversation and clinking glasses in the background. "This place is extraordinary." She couldn't help the smile that spread across her face. "I'm glad you're enjoying it. The owner insisted I try his grandmother's limoncello recipe," Ethan continued. "I think I'm legally obligated to thank you properly for this recommendation. Would you consider joining me for dinner tomorrow night, as a thank you?" Lily froze. This wasn't the first time a guest had asked her out, but it was the first time she'd been tempted to say yes. "That's very kind," she said carefully, "but I couldn't possibly—" "It's not," he interrupted, then paused. "I apologize. I realize how that sounded. I'm simply grateful for the recommendation and thought you might enjoy dinner as well. No pressure at all." Something in his genuine tone made her reconsider. "I appreciate the invitation, Mr. Oberlin, but there are hotel policies about socializing with guests." "Of course, I understand completely." He sounded sincerely disappointed. In that case, I'll just have to keep bothering you for excellent recommendations during my stays. After hanging up, Lily found herself strangely regretful. Hotel policy did discourage personal relationships with guests, but it wasn't strictly forbidden as long as it didn't interfere with professional duties. Still, she prided herself on maintaining boundaries. It was what made her excellent at her job. The next morning, she found a small gift bag waiting at the concierge desk when she arrived for her shift. "Mr. Oberlin from 1804 left this for you," her colleague informed her. Inside was a bottle of limoncello from Salvatier's with a note that read simply, "Thank you for making a business trip memorable. EO." Over the next several months, Ethan checked in roughly every 3 to 4 weeks, always staying 3 to 4 nights. Each time, he would ask Lily for recommendations: a quiet place to read on Sunday morning, the best local bookstore, a tailor who could repair a loose button on short notice. She began to look forward to his visits, collecting ideas for places he might enjoy between his stays. By his 6th visit, their interactions had developed a comfortable rhythm. He always had a new story from his travels, and she always had a new local spot for him to discover. "You know, you should write a guidebook," he told her one afternoon as she mapped out a walking route to a hidden sculpture garden. "You know this city better than anyone," Lily laughed. "My dream is actually to open my own boutique hotel someday. Something small, maybe 20 rooms where every detail is perfect." "You'd be exceptional at that," he said, and the sincerity in his voice made her cheeks warm. "Well, for now, I'm still learning the business from the ground up. I've been saving but real estate in this city." She trailed off, then straightened her posture, embarrassed to have shared so much. "Anyway, follow this path through the park and you can't miss the garden entrance." During his 8th stay, Ethan arrived looking unusually tired. When Lily handed him his key card, their fingers brushed briefly and she noticed how tense he seemed. "Long flight?" she asked sympathetically. "Long negotiations," he corrected. "Sometimes I think I should have become a teacher instead of getting into shipping logistics." It was the first concrete detail about his work she'd heard. "Shipping logistics sounds complicated." "It is," he agreed, "but usually satisfying when everything falls into place. This particular deal has been challenging." "Well, I've put you in your usual suite, and there's a lavender stress relief kit waiting. The spa can also fit you in for a massage at 6 p.m. if you'd like." His weary expression softened. "You're remarkable, Lily, thank you." That evening, she received a call from the hotel manager, Mr. Patterson. "Lily, I need you to personally deliver some documents to Mr. Oberlin in 1804. They're time-sensitive contracts that just arrived by courier." When Ethan opened the door to his suite, he had changed from his business attire into a simple gray t-shirt and dark jeans. The casual look transformed him, making him appear younger and more approachable. His hair was slightly damp, as if he'd just showered. "Lily," he said, clearly surprised. "Is everything all right? These just arrived for you," she explained, holding out the sealed envelope. Mr. Patterson thought they might be urgent. "Thank you," he said, accepting the package. "I've been waiting for these. Would you like to come in for a moment? I just ordered room service." She hesitated in the doorway. This crossed the line from professional to personal, but something about his unguarded expression made her step inside anyway. His suite was neat but lived in, with papers spread across the dining table and a half-empty cup of coffee. A book of poetry sat open on the sofa near Yuta, she noticed with surprise. "I'm afraid I can't stay," she said, though part of her wanted to. "I'm still on duty, of course." He gestured toward the dining table. "These negotiations have been consuming my life. We're acquiring a smaller regional shipping line, but there have been complications." Lily nodded, noting how he spoke about the acquisition as if he were the one making the decisions, not simply handling logistics. "I hope it works out." "It will," he said with quiet confidence. "Things usually do, even if the path isn't what we expected." He looked at her directly then. "When do you finish your shift tonight?" "At 9, she answered, knowing she should leave but rooted to the spot. "I have to review these documents, but I was planning to have a drink in the hotel bar afterward, around 9:30. If you happen to be there too, it would make the end of a long day much better. Lily's heart raced. Mr. Oberlin, Ethan, he corrected gently. After all these months of you planning my perfect days in this city, I think we can use first names when you're not behind the desk. Ethan, she said, testing the name. I shouldn't, it's just a drink, Lily. As friends, if you'd like, no expectations. 9 hours later, dressed in her own clothes instead of her hotel uniform, Lily pushed open the door to the Monarch's intimate bar. The space was designed to feel like a private club, with dark wood paneling, deep leather armchairs, and a jazz trio playing softly in the corner. It took her a moment to spot Ethan in a quiet corner booth, nursing what appeared to be a whiskey. When he saw her, his expression transformed from preoccupation to pleasure. He stood as she approached, a gesture that seemed automatic rather than calculated. You came, he said, as if he'd been uncertain. I did, she replied, wondering if she'd made a mistake. He gestured to the seat across from him. What can I get you to drink? Whatever you're having is fine. As they settled into conversation, Lily was surprised by how natural it felt. They discussed books they'd both read, cities they'd visited, and the particular charm of their current city in autumn. He was well-traveled but spoke of places with the curiosity of someone still discovering the world, not with the jaded tone of someone who stayed in luxury hotels out of necessity. How did you get into hotel work? He asked after their second round of drinks. My grandmother ran a small bed and breakfast in Vermont, Lily explained. I spent my summers helping her, learning how to anticipate what guests might need before they asked. I loved creating experiences for people, making them feel at home even when they were far from it. Is that why you want to open your own hotel? She nodded. It's always been the dream, something intimate where every detail matters. And what's stopping you? Reality, she laughed. Capital. Experience, connections. You have the most important part already, Ethan said seriously. Vision, the rest can be found. Says the man who probably has investors on speed dial, she teased, then immediately regretted it. They had carefully avoided discussing his finances all evening. To her relief, he smiled. I might know a few people who recognize a good investment when they see one. The evening stretched past midnight, and when they finally left the bar, Ethan walked her to the staff exit where she'd parked her car. Thank you for joining me, he said as they stood in the cool night air. It was the best evening I've had in a long time. It was nice, she agreed, suddenly shy. Thank you for the invitation. He looked as if he might say something more, but instead simply smiled. Good night, Lily. Good night, Ethan. When he checked out the following day, their interaction was perfectly professional, but there was a new undercurrent of connection that hadn't been there before. A week later, a package arrived for Lily at the concierge desk. Inside was a first-edition copy of her favorite novel that she had mentioned during their evening at the bar, with a note that read, Some stories stay with us long after the last page. Thank you for a memorable evening. Ethan, his next scheduled visit was still 2 weeks away, but Lily found herself looking forward to it with an anticipation that went beyond professional courtesy. She collected new recommendations, researched exhibitions he might enjoy, and even found herself daydreaming about their conversations. When the day of his expected arrival came, Lily took extra care with her appearance, applying a touch more makeup than usual and wearing her best suit. But by the end of her shift, Ethan hadn't checked in. Any word from Mr. Oberlin? She asked the reservation manager. He called yesterday to reschedule, came the reply. Something about an emergency in Rotterdam. He's rebooked for next week. Lily tried not to feel disappointed. After all, Ethan was just a guest, a particularly kind, interesting guest who made her heart beat faster, but still just someone passing through her workplace. The following week, when he finally did arrive, he looked different, tired around the eyes with a new intensity to his expression. Welcome back, Mr. Oberlin, she greeted him, conscious of her colleagues nearby. I hope everything is well after your delayed arrival. Thank you, Lily, he said, his voice low. It's been a complicated few weeks. Is there any chance I could speak with you privately at some point? Perhaps after your shift, her pulse quickened. I finish at 7 tonight. Perfect. I'll meet you at Caselli's at 7:30, he suggested, naming a small Italian restaurant a few blocks from the hotel that she had once recommended to him. When Lily arrived at the restaurant that evening, she found Ethan waiting at a corner table, a bottle of wine already open and breathing. He rose when he saw her, his face lighting up despite the fatigue evident in his posture. "You look lovely," he said simply. Over dinner, he seemed distracted, asking about her week since they'd last spoken but clearly preoccupied with his own thoughts. Finally, after their main courses were cleared, he leaned forward. "Lily, there's something I need to tell you." Her stomach tightened. "That sounds serious." "I haven't been entirely forthcoming about who I am," he began. "The shipping logistics I mentioned, it's actually my company, Oberlin Maritime Group." She blinked. "Your company, as in?" "As in I founded it 15 years ago. It's now the third largest shipping and logistics company in the Northern Hemisphere." Lily set down her wine glass carefully. "I see. I'm not just an executive or manager, I own it, all of it." She thought back to all their interactions, trying to pinpoint moments where he might have flaunted wealth or position, but found none. "Why are you telling me this now?" "Because I find myself thinking about you when I'm not at the Monarch," he said, his voice rough with emotion. "Because I look forward to seeing you more than anyone else in my life right now, and because starting anything meaningful requires honesty, starting anything." She repeated, her mind racing to catch up. "Lily, I'd like to ask you to dinner again, but not as a hotel guest asking the concierge. As a man asking a woman he admires deeply." The revelation of his wealth should have been shocking, but somehow it wasn't. It explained certain aspects of him, his quiet confidence, his understanding of international business, but it didn't change the essence of who he was in their interactions. "You could have mentioned this sooner," she said finally. "Would it have mattered?" "It might have," she admitted. "Not because of the money itself, but because it feels like a significant detail to omit." He nodded, accepting her criticism. "I've found that wealth changes how people see me before they know me. With you, I wanted to just be Ethan first." She could understand that impulse, even if she didn't entirely approve of the omission. "So, what now?" "Now I ask properly. Lily Oliver, would you have dinner with me tomorrow night? Not as a thank you for recommendations or as colleagues having a friendly drink, but as a date." She studied him across the table, the earnestness in his expression, the vulnerability beneath his successful exterior. Despite her reservations about his delayed honesty, she knew her answer. "Yes," she said simply. "I'd like that." Their first official date took place at a small French bistro far from the Monarch. Lily wore a deep blue dress she'd been saving for a special occasion, and Ethan arrived with a single white lily, a small gesture that made her laugh at the gentle pun. As they settled into their evening, Ethan finally shared the full story of his journey, how he'd started with a single cargo ship bought with loans and determination, gradually building his company through smart acquisitions and technological innovation. He spoke without arrogance about his successes and with humility about his failures. "The Rotterdam emergency," Lily said suddenly, remembering his delayed visit. "What happened?" "One of our container ships ran into mechanical issues. We had to coordinate an emergency transfer of cargo at sea to avoid delaying shipments for dozens of companies." "And you had to handle that personally," he shrugged. "When your name is on the company, some decisions have to be yours." "It's impressive," she said honestly. "Building something like that from nothing." "What about your hotel dreams?" he asked, turning the conversation to her. "Tell me more about your vision." She described her idea in detail, a boutique property that would blend the personal touch of her grandmother's B&B with the refined luxury of places like the Monarch. A hotel where guests would feel the care in every detail, from locally sourced amenities to staff who genuinely cared about creating memorable experiences. "You light up when you talk about it," he observed. "It's just a dream for now," she said with a small smile. "But someday." "Dreams have a way of becoming reality when you're willing to work for them," he replied. "I believe you'll create that hotel, Lily, and it will be extraordinary." By the end of the evening, something had shifted between them. The careful distance they'd maintained was dissolving, replaced by a growing certainty that this was the beginning of something significant. When Ethan walked her to her apartment door, their goodbye wasn't tentative. His kiss was gentle but confident, a promise of more to come. "When do you leave?" she asked, suddenly remembering he was still, technically, a hotel guest. "Tomorrow," he admitted, "but I'll be back in 2 weeks, and in the meantime, there's always the phone." True to his word, even when traveling, Ethan called or texted daily. He sent her photos from Tokyo, Shanghai, and Hamburg, not typical tourist images, but quiet moments that reminded him of their conversations. A small bookstore with cats in the window, a hidden garden between skyscrapers, a cafe with poetry etched into its walls. When he returned to the Monarch 2 weeks later, Lily had arranged to take time off during his stay. For 3 days, they explored the city together, but through Ethan's eyes this time, discovering places even she hadn't known about. He took her to a private art gallery housed in a converted warehouse, a rooftop garden accessible only to certain property owners, and a restaurant so exclusive it didn't even have a name, just a blue door and a reputation for culinary brilliance. "How do you even know about these places?" she asked as they sipped champagne overlooking the city skyline from a terrace she'd never known existed. "When you travel as much as I do, you learn to find the extraordinary hidden within the ordinary," he explained. "Just like you do with your recommendations, we're not so different in that way." By his third visit after they began dating, the pattern of their relationship had become clear. Intense, beautiful days together followed by weeks apart, bridged by constant communication. Ethan began adjusting his travel schedule when possible to maximize their time together, sometimes flying in a day early or delaying departures. 4 months into their relationship, during a weekend at his downtown penthouse, Ethan proposed a solution to their intermittent separations. "Come with me," he suggested as they lingered over breakfast on his terrace. "To Singapore next month. You've never seen the Monarch there, and I have meetings all week. We could extend the trip, explore the city together." Lily hesitated. "I'd have to request time off." "Or you could consider a different position altogether," he said carefully. "I've been thinking about our conversations about your hotel dream." She set down her coffee cup. "What about them?" "I'd like to help make it happen," he said simply. "Not as a handout, but as an investment in you." "In your vision?" "Ethan, I can't accept that kind of money from you. It wouldn't be a gift, it would be a proper business arrangement. I've been looking for hospitality investments anyway, and your concept is exactly what the market needs right now." She shook her head. "It's too much. We've only been together for a few months. This isn't about our relationship," he insisted. "I'd make this offer to anyone with your vision and experience. The fact that I love you just means I've had a front row seat to your expertise." Lily froze, her heart racing. "What did you just say?" Ethan looked confused for a moment, then realization dawned. "That I love you, I thought you knew that already." "You've never actually said it before," she whispered. He moved from his chair to kneel beside hers, taking her hands in his. "Lily Oliver, I have fallen completely in love with you. Not because you're the best concierge I've ever met, though you are, but because you're the most thoughtful, passionate, genuine person I know. I love how you care about details that make others happy. I love how your face lights up when you talk about your dreams. I love that you treated me exactly the same before and after you knew about my company." Tears welled in her eyes. "I love you too, Ethan. I have for months now." He smiled, then laughed softly. "So now that we've cleared that up, will you come to Singapore with me?" She did go to Singapore, taking 2 weeks vacation to accompany him. While Ethan attended meetings during the days, Lily explored the city, taking meticulous notes about hotel features she admired and service touches she wanted to incorporate into her own future property. In the evenings, they discussed her observations over dinner, Ethan asking insightful questions that helped clarify her vision. By the end of the trip, what had been a distant dream began to feel like a potential reality. "I've been thinking about your investment offer," she told him on their last night in Singapore as they watched the light show over Marina Bay from their hotel suite. "If we were to do this, I'd want it to be structured properly, No special treatment because we're together. Real investors, real business plans, real expectations, he smiled. I wouldn't have it any other way. 6 months later, Lily resigned from her position at the Monarch to focus full-time on developing her hotel concept. With Ethan's connections, she secured meetings with potential investors beyond just him, hospitality groups and private equity firms interested in boutique properties. To her surprise and delight, her vision resonated. By the end of her first year away from the Monarch, she had raised enough capital to purchase a historic building in need of renovation, the perfect canvas for her boutique hotel. Throughout the development process, Ethan was supportive but never controlling. He offered advice when asked, but respected that this was her project to lead. When construction delays and budget overruns threatened the timeline, he remained her steadfast partner, helping her navigate the challenges without simply throwing money at the problems. 2 years after that fateful evening when Ethan had first revealed his true identity, Lily stood in the lobby of Oliver House, her dream realized in gleaming wood, soft fabrics, and meticulous details. The 24-room boutique hotel combined historic charm with modern luxury, each room uniquely designed to tell its own story. "What do you think?" she asked Ethan as they walked through the space the night before the grand opening. "It's perfect," he said, genuine awe in his voice. "Even better than I imagined when you first described it. You've created something extraordinary, Lily." "I couldn't have done it without you," she admitted. "Yes, you could have," he corrected her gently. "It might have taken longer, but you would have gotten here. Your vision was always clear." As they reached the hidden garden courtyard at the center of the property, her favorite feature of the hotel, Ethan suddenly stopped walking. "I have something for you," he said, reaching into his pocket. "A grand opening gift." She expected a small jewelry box, perhaps earrings for tomorrow's celebration. Instead, he handed her a vintage brass key. "What's this for?" she asked, examining the ornate key with its intricate detailing. "It's from the first ship I ever owned," he explained. "The vessel that started everything for me. I kept it as a reminder that the right key opens doors you never imagined possible." He took her hand, the key between their palms. "Lily, meeting you was my key. You opened a part of my life I'd kept locked away, the ability to be simply myself, not defined by what I've built or own." As moonlight filtered through the garden's glass ceiling, Ethan dropped to one knee, still holding her hand. "I thought about doing this tomorrow after your triumphant opening, but I realized I wanted this moment to be just ours in this beautiful place you've created." He produced a small velvet box from his other pocket. "Lily Oliver, you've made me happier than I ever thought possible. Would you make me the extraordinary honor of becoming my wife?" Inside the box was a ring unlike any she'd expected, not an ostentatious diamond, but an antique sapphire surrounded by small diamonds, elegant and timeless. "It reminded me of your eyes the first day we met," he explained when he saw her surprise. "If you don't like it, it's perfect," she interrupted, tears spilling down her cheeks. "And yes, Ethan Oberlin, yes, I'll marry you." As he slipped the ring onto her finger, Lily marveled at the journey that had brought them here, from concierge desk to hotel owner, from polite guest to life partner. "I used to think the most incredible thing about you was that you treated everyone at the Monarch with the same respect, regardless of their position," she said as he rose to kiss her. "But now, I know the truly remarkable thing is that you really saw me when I was just doing my job." "You were never just doing anything," he replied, holding her close. "You were exceptional from the first moment. I checked into that hotel looking for a comfortable place to stay during business trips. I never expected to check in forever." 1 year later, they married in the courtyard garden of Oliver House, surrounded by friends, family, and the staff of her thriving hotel. The Monarch's manager, Mr. Patterson, attended as an honored guest, proudly taking credit for making the match by assigning Lily to personally deliver those contracts to Ethan's room years earlier. As a wedding gift, Ethan surprised Lily with the deed to a small, struggling bed and breakfast in Vermont, her grandmother's former property, which they would restore together as a sister property to Oliver House. For the woman who built a dream from the ground up, the card read, a chance to honor where it all began. Standing together at their reception, watching guests enjoy the hotel she'd created, Lily leaned into her husband's embrace. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you'd stayed at a different hotel that first trip?" she asked. Ethan shook his head. "I don't believe in coincidences. I think some people are meant to find each other, no matter which path they take. Even if one is a billionaire shipping magnate and the other is a hotel concierge," she teased. "Especially then," he replied, kissing her softly. "Some check-ins are meant to be permanent.